They wrote one of the most original romantic love songs that you may remember Howard singing to Bernadette. Of course, we're talking about If I Didn't Have You. And here to perform a very special Comic-Con version of it, please welcome Kate McCucci and Ricky Lindholm, Garfunkel and Oates, who also have a show tonight at House of Blues.
Okay, so this is a special version of If I Didn't Have You, from the Big Bang Theory to you guys. If we didn't have you, life would be blue. We'd be Doctor Who without the TARDIS, a candle without a wick, a Watson without a crick. I'd be a Halloween tree without a trick. We'd be cheese without the math, jobs without the Wozniak. We'd be solving exponential equations using bases not found on your calculator, making it much harder to crack. An atom without a bomb, a dot without the com, and we'd probably still live with our mom. Ever since I met you, turned my world around. You supported all my dreams and all our hopes. You're like uranium-235 and I'm uranium-238, almost inseparable isotopes. We couldn't have imagined we'd get to sing this song for the Big Bang Theory fans at Comic-Con. If we didn't have you, life would be dreary. We'd be string theory without any string. A binary code without a 1, a cathode 2 without an electron gun. We'd be Firefly, Buffy, and Avengers without Joss Whedon. We'd speak a lot more Klingon, have a little bit of a and we'd probably still live with our mom. We couldn't have imagined we'd get to sing this song for the Big Bang Theory fans at Comic-Con. Oh, we couldn't have imagined we'd get to sing this song for the Big Bang Theory fans at Comic-Con. Are you ready for your panel? Please welcome science consultant David Salzberg. And the writers Jeremy Howe, Tara Fernandez, Anthony DeBroclo, Maria Ferrari, Steve Holland, Jim Reynolds, Eric Kaplan, and David Gesh. We also have executive producer, co-creator Bill Brady. And executive producer, showrunner Steve Malaro. And finally, our moderator, Craig Ferguson.
Thank you, Garfunkel and Oates, everybody. Thank you. Please note that they will have their own television show premiering on August the 7th on IFC. There you are, there's business done for the day. Welcome to the Big Bang Theory Writers Panel, everyone. Just a couple of business notes. Writers are, in essence, shy and retiring creatures, nerdy, if you will forgive the word, and writers on the Big Bang Theory are the most extreme example of that the world has ever seen. These people are so uncomfortable right now, I can't begin to tell you how much I'm enjoying it. This is the only sitcom that I have ever heard of that has a science consultant. And it's my belief that they only have a science consultant because you people are so nitpicky. Without any further, we'll get to audience questions in just a minute. I have a few questions of my own before we begin. Really, pretty much to anyone who cares to answer. Probably, I'm looking for someone with a little bit of seniority here. But who was the genius that decided to kill off Professor Proton?
That was my fault.
Why? You bastard!
The Big Bang Theory at the time had been nominated for 3 Emmy Awards and hadn't won any. And Bob Newhart came on the show one time and got one. And I just thought to myself, we have to kill this guy.
He's pretty good.
He wants, but he can come back in
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the good news about it. Yeah, there's really no death in sitcoms. Yeah. How did he feel about it when you told him he was going to die? It was,
well, Chuck Lorre and I called him on the phone, and I think it started off with Chuck saying, "Hey, Bob, so good news, bad news. We want you back on the show, but we want you to die." And I asked him, "Are you familiar with Star Wars?" And he said, "No, because it's from Newhart."
that's the fastest I've ever had to speak right there.
So I had to give him like a 3-minute crash course on Star Wars and Luke and Obi-Wan, and then once he understood what we were trying to do, he was actually very into it and very excited.
And how about Star Wars Day? Is that an actual day in the writers' room? Do you guys do anything for Star Wars Day?
We actually did
Everyone
Star
just
Wars
looks
Day.
at Owen.
I did host Star Wars Day in my house this year on May 4th, and we watched all 6 movies. I say we, I was sitting there alone by the end of it. Other people did come, and I provided snacks and treats.
Unlike the show, there was no Cafe Olea or Attack of the Stones at Steve's party.
There were Attack of the Stones,
Like,
they had gotten there earlier.
Any young people here, aspiring writers, or just young people, know that there are jobs in the world just north of here where your job can be watching Star Wars all day. It can be your job.
I think Maria got to come to the show. She has a young baby at home and got to come claiming it was a work event to come watch Star Wars at my house.
I did. My husband is in the audience, so now that's blown. Thank you.
Steve, do you like Star Wars because it was emotionally important to you as a child?
Yes.
So but you acknowledge, right? Like
And it's great still, I do.
You still like Star Wars?
I do, still like Star Wars.
Well, was it emotionally important to you as a young man?
I don't care for Star Wars.
Way to read the crowd, Eric.
They're forming the flaming pitchforks up in the back there. Are you crazy?
You guys better settle down, or I will pull on the Phantom Menace right now. And we're watching all of it.
Steve, taxation of trade routes were in dispute. That's why they blockaded the planet.
How did you manage to get James Earl Jones, who was in Star Wars after all, and is probably quite proud of it, on the show? Was he an easy get?
When we approached him, he was very excited to do it, and he was as delightful to work with as he was on the show. And in that same episode, we also managed to get Carrie Fisher. And one really cool thing was James Earl Jones did the voice of Darth Vader, but he was never on the set. So on the Big Bang Theory stage was the first day that James Earl Jones and Carrie Fisher ever met in person.
What?
And when they approached each other, the first thing Carrie said was, "Dad!"
Who over the years have you got on the show that you're particularly proud of? Obviously the people we've just talked about, but I mean there's been such an array of people. Who are you particularly proud or happy to have gotten on?
Well, Stephen Hawking.
Yes.
I don't know if I have, David will correct me on the science, but we're under the impression he invented the universe. I may have oversimplified his work.
So, because of the show, it was the first time I was ever in the room with Stephen Hawking as well.
But we wound up kind of hanging with Stephen Hawking for a while. We got invited to his birthday party.
Yeah.
And he also, we shot him at Caltech.
He was so drunk.
Hey, so, I mean, like, if you were a science consultant and Stephen Hawking's there, did you guys, like, throw down?
We did a little bit, but I asked him about meeting the Queen.
Oh, and it takes Professor Hawking a long time to answer questions, so it took him, and then the protocols, you go on with the rest of your conversation and you wait for him to type it in. He uses his cheek muscle to move a mouse. the time. So at the end of the meal, he came back with, she's a right old bird or something. Or a very nice girl. Or something. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Tara, we've gotten to meet somebody through the show that you're excited about, I think.
Well, How to Train Your Dragon is like my favorite movie.
Yeah! Why isn't there a final? I don't know!
I'm totally freaking out, Craig. I love you.
Thanks very much. Oh. Well, are you one of the more recent members of the? Because you seem much younger and more attractive than the other.
Yeah, I've been on the show. I think we're kind of up here by how long we've been on the show. So Jeremy and I are newer staff members. We've been on about 2.5.
Now, is that an intimidating thing to walk into a show like this where everything is established and they have their ways, and then you walk into young ideas about things?
They're adorable. Oh yes, you said yes. Yes. There's a lot of. It's intimidating. Writing is hard and difficult, but you know, you walk into a room where, like you said, we get to talk about Star Wars and we play D&D together. And
I think it's also important to remember that when this show began, and it's easy to forget this, but when the show began, this kind of thing was not as popular. It wasn't like the networks were saying, let's make a show about geeks and nerds. I mean, when it started, there was a lot of scoffing within CBS, because I was in my 10th year or something at the time, but when you guys started, there was a lot of kind of, yeah, that'll work. Yeah, Chuck's finally lost his mind. You know, and it was...
But, we never set out to do a show about geeks and nerds. We were making a show about people we knew.
Right.
And, the basis for the original basis for the characters was guys that I knew when I had been a computer programmer, and I started talking to Chuck about those guys. And then we changed it. We didn't want to be programmers because that had over the years become like the Microsoft money thing, and we didn't want it to be that. But it was still, it was just based on people we knew and stuff we liked, and then you bring these people aboard, and the story when Maria interviewed for the job, she was hired after she told a story, and I hope I get it right because her husband is here, but as best I remember, will you tell it had to do with a present?
Yeah, I had asked for a phantom blade in World of Warcraft for my rogue from my husband for my birthday, and he got me like a tangible thing in the world instead. Like I don't even remember what it was. It was like not what I asked for.
But you had also mined for gold to
okay, because for his birthday I had gotten him a lunacy deck, which was, at the time, this is a long time ago guys, but it was a big deal, because I had to get all those cards, and it took forever, and I was just, it took like a 10-hour time commitment. I felt like it wasn't too much. I mean, you can make a phantom blade, if you or a weaponsmith,
So when you added these people with problems like where my husband and I fought because I bought him a virtual present and he'd gotten some horrible thing in the real world. And then, and Steve Holland, who loves Star Wars too much, and Eric Kaplan, who doesn't appreciate a lot of things, like Star Wars or Johnny Harrison.
I just feel that one of the good things about science fiction is it helps people think that the world is comprehensible, and Star Wars appeals to this mystical notion of the Force. I don't know.
Hey, Eric, do you write a lot of Sheldon's? I feel I found the voice within the voice here. What about the point if you get to a situation now where you have a cast which is very well established and they know their characters very well, and hopefully everything's going to be fine, and do you now consult at this point in the life of a sitcom? Do you actually talk to the actors about how things are going? Do you take their input?
Yeah, we do talk to them. I get excited about the stories we're doing, and I'll often tell them, hey, this is coming up. And Johnny Galecki has told me that he actually enjoys that and finds that helpful, because he knows, sometimes it's just words on a page and it's not readily apparent the tone of the mood we're going for. So it's very helpful for us to talk about it.
So what if you joined the show a few years in, or a little bit into the life of the show, and you've seen the actors do this work, and you have ideas for how you would like that character to go, or a story that would like to happen with the actor, and the actor doesn't feel that way about it? Does that cause friction? Is there such a thing as friction?
Never had that experience. I'm not.
No, I believe you.
And I hope they're not watching us and getting ideas.
No, I think that it's just something I remember from the long life of when I was on the Drew Carey show, that after a long time, things get set, and it's sometimes, I think, more difficult for newer people in the writer's room to find their own way within that. Do you know what I mean? Are you very encouraging of that? Are you encouraging of young people? Well, let me ask that. I mean, is it an easy place to work your way into? Because it's not a huge writer's room, really. I mean, if this is all of you guys, it's not huge.
I was a writer's assistant for 2 years, so I eased my way into it, and just got some jokes on TV, and they promoted me, and that's how I eased into it. So.
And I was a fan of the show, so I was familiar with the characters, and then I worked on the show, like Jeremy, as an assistant for a couple seasons before.
And let's work our way up to the more seasoned writers as we go along. So, what was your experience like coming in?
It was great. I had worked with Steve Millar and Steve Holland before at Nickelodeon, so I had an easy transition as far as that goes.
What did you do at Nickelodeon?
Wrote for shows called All That, Drake and Josh. And a show called Zoe 101.
I just figured this was the room that would be familiar with your work at Nickelodeon. How about you? How long into the show before you interviewed and got the job?
I was on season 3.
Okay, so that's quite early.
There is a weirdness with the actors though, because you've been watching the show and experiencing these characters, and then you spend all your time imagining these characters, and then you meet them, and they look like somebody you think about all day long, but you don't know them. Like, it's weird, it's awkward.
Yeah, it is.
You're gonna be like, what would you do in this situation? Because I can't think of it. Tell me.
That's kind of handy.
Same. The three of us joined in season 3. So,
right. Okay.
So the show hadn't quite taken off. It sort of really took off. I don't know. I would say there's a correlation between when we joined. I'll leave that to you guys. You can take your own call on what you think about that.
Yes.
No. I mean, yeah. It was just every different show you go on has a different language, and it takes a little while to kind of learn the language of that show, and the dynamic, and find your place in it. But I was very fortunate to come on board when these guys did, so we could get together at the end of the day and cry. And we would rotate offices, whose office we would cry at, just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm failing. So do I. Oh good, I'm not alone. And thanks. This is really therapeutic. Thank you all.
And Dave and Eric, you guys have been on since the beginning, is that right?
No, Dave has been on since the beginning.
Right.
I joined at the beginning of season 2.
Season 2.
Eric, didn't you get your interview because they got the wrong Eric Kaplan?
Yes.
This is true.
There cannot be
Eric
two.
Kaplan was supposed to come for a meeting, and somehow wires got crossed, and this Eric showed up.
Yeah, Johnny wanted the Eric Kaplan, the gaucho from Patagonia, with one of those bolos that he was swinging. And then I think Jess Amber said, he was like, well, he's a gaucho. This other Eric Kaplan wrote for Futurama, so she made the executive decision to send my resume to Bill Brady.
We had met in New York a long time ago when Eric wrote for Spy magazine, which was I think sort of the heir to, in a way, to Mad magazine.
It was the Mad magazine of the go-go 80s, that's correct.
For grown-ups.
Right.
But I'd known him in New York, and I didn't know until afterwards we'd had the wrong Eric Kaplan, because when you came in I said, oh yeah, I know this guy. He's very
Eric Kaplan's, and this is not true of other names, are pretty fungible. So all Eric Kaplans, we get together, there's a sort of they don't exceed a certain level of quality, but we also make sure we don't drop below a certain level.
Now, before we go to questions from the floor, Dave, you're the only person who hasn't said a word so far. How's it going, man?
Why do you think I've been here for 8 years? I know. I will say, when we first started season 1, it was incredible because we didn't know the show, but what we had was Bill's experiences rooting in real life and Chuck's experiences of having created so many shows, and that was just an incredible positive force. And I remember pitching once, before we even had the first table read of the second episode, and I pitched an idea, and Chuck looked at me and he said, "If we do that, you will ruin the show." And I said, "Well, let's not do that."
And since you guys seem to be into Nickelodeon, I just need to point out that Steve Holland and I also did the first season of iCarly. So.
Quite the cheer that I thought you would get for it.
Dude, come on, guys. The show's great.
What's wrong? Who hurt you? All right, we're now going to go from, we're now going to take some questions from the floor, I believe. Do we have that set up? Yes, we do. One moment while we arrange the microphone, because apparently I'm throwing this at you as a surprise. Yes, great. You're taking questions from the floor at Comic-Con? Yeah, it's never been done. When you're ready, you come on up. She's briefing the young lady now. She's about to step forward, tentatively, her heart pounding. To ask a question. And what's your name, young lady? Louder, louder. We can't hear you. We're not judging you. We just can't hear you.
Issues.
All right. So let's start again. Yes. What's your name?
Yes. Hi, my name is Jennifer. Very nice to meet you.
And you.
And welcome writers to Comic-Con.
Thank you.
Thank you for your hard work. We all appreciate you very much.
We like your shirt.
Thank you. I thought you would appreciate that. I would like to know, are you ever going to fix the elevator?
I think those stairs are the only exercise those guys get.
We had a guy in, they need parts. So we're waiting. The thing about the elevator and the stairs, so there are a couple of problems in shooting a sitcom, and one is, where do you shoot a scene where people walk and talk? So you can shoot it in a car where they sort of drive and talk, or you can kind of do a little outside set or something like that. But what the stairwell gave us was a place to have walk and talk conversations that was organic. So to make that stairwell, they dug a hole in the floor of Stage 25 at Warner Brothers when we did the pilot. And Stage 25 is the best stage to shoot in. And when we got picked up to series, they said, well, we're going to move you to another stage, which was the worst stage. And Chuck Lorre said, great, just dig a hole in that stage. And they said, oh, okay, then you can stay where you are. So.
I was just thinking that you could have the characters fix it. Just saying.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Get on there.
Go on. Would you believe that? You're not even a WGA member. How dare you? These people are professionals. You could actually have that.
Yeah, I think a fan might know that the shaft was damaged beyond repair by the rocket fuel that blew up in it, which we saw on the show. So.
Oh. I feel such a fool. Yes.
Okay, hello. Okay, so my question is, how hard is it to add new characters? Because when you start with the original characters, then you added Bernadette and Amy. Like, how do you decide to add those characters?
There was no grand plan at the time for Bernadette and Amy to go on and become the major staples in the show that they are. They did one appearance, and we loved them in their auditions, and it just worked out, and we thought, they're great, let's put more of them in the show, and that's how that happened. And it's kind of how we go at all these things. If we get somebody and we add them and it seems to be going well, we'll do more.
Yeah, thanks very much. Costume is that? I feel bad. I don't know.
Assassin's Creed.
What was it?
Assassin's Creed.
Right, you only asked. We're all meant to be on the same side here. Yes, Evan.
Hello. I just wanted to say that I was really happy with the progress that Sheldon and Amy made in the last season. Both in individually and as two parts of a relationship. And despite the fact, I know Amy says that Sheldon's a known flight risk, but even despite that, I think we were all a little surprised at the end of season 7 with his exit. So I was just wondering if Sheldon's walkabout is going to be something positive for his relationship with Amy, and if they're going to find happiness with each other.
She's asking for spoilers.
Well, he didn't leave because of Amy, and I would argue that they do have their own weird brand of happiness right now. That kiss moment on the train, I think, is pretty good. And one other, just while we're talking about the kiss, that was such a stressful time in the writer's room. Like, we were sweating and pacing and trying to get that moment right, to the point that there is a version of the kiss scene that we wrote, a completely different version of it that we wrote that no one has ever seen, because we were so panicked that we needed to get it right.
What happened in the different version of the kiss scene?
He was, in the other version, in the version that's on TV, he kind of went at her and he was mad because he felt that he was tricked to go on the train.
Right.
There's a kinder, gentler version where he kisses her just because he's having such a lovely experience on the train. But I'm really happy with the way we did it. So.
Yes, I like that one too. Yes. Yeah. Who else am I asking? You're standing there in the middle. And a microphone in your mouth. Oh, you're asking your question. What a surprise. Come on, you know it's you.
Thank you for a great show. I've been a fan since day one. My question is, I get some follow-up to the previous one, and it's on everyone's mind. Will Amy and Sheldon ever get down to business beyond a kiss?
Easy. This is a PG panel. Come on.
What spirit are you asking that in?
You're asking if his interest is purient? Is that?
Well, no. I'm wondering, like, in a sense, if you're relating to the show almost as if it's real, and you're enjoying it as something that you have an emotional connection with, you would feel bad to hear that the motley collection of people on this panel have figured it out and are planning it, right?
Eric Kaplan, killer of dreams.
Killing his own dreams.
But this,
I think we're wandering into theology here a little bit.
Uncomfortable direct questions from Eric are a big part of the writer's room experience. You're now having that we all have from time to time.
I'm actually trying to be supportive. I feel like you have a certain enjoyment that you're going to get from watching the show, and I'm wondering if you thought through that if you ask us, supposing we said, your question was, is Amy ever going to be happy? And we said, no. She's never going to be happy. It might make your relationship to the character of Amy kind of different, I think.
Does that answer your question?
or does it just scare you? I think for me, and I'm in a great position because my relationship to the show these days is part-time, so I get to come in and see what Steve and the guys have done. And the amazing thing about these two characters is that Sheldon will not move at all, and Amy will not let him not move. And it's this, just watching Amy move Sheldon is incredible. Because I will say there's absolutely no way Sheldon would ever do such and such, and then Steve will get angry, and then show how that would happen. And you look at it and say, yeah, that would move him. That would, and a lot of it has to do with Sheldon doesn't want to lose Amy. He doesn't want to be with Amy on her terms, but he doesn't want to lose her, and so that lets him move forward. Also, everything Eric said.
I think that was a very thought-provoking question. Thank you very much. I'm sorry you got such a hard time from all of us. Sit down. Man in the white hat.
I'm Rob from San Diego. Thanks for all the laughs, and also from 2.5 Men. Laugh laughs there.
Which is none of us on this panel, but we will pass that along.
I thought I saw Bill Pratty's. Sorry. Anyways, it seems like it'd be a blast to be cracking jokes for a few hours a day, writing jokes. Is there a certain point where it becomes like a roller coaster, where it's just too much of a good thing and it's like a real job?
Yes.
As delightful as we seem right now, we can get old after a while, trust me.
I calculated, I think we spend 1,500 hours a season together.
I think the myth is that, you know, for actors, working on a sitcom is actually a dream job. It's quite easy, you don't really have to work that hard. But for writers, it's an extremely difficult job. These guys work very late at night, and really, it's not a fun business being funny. Look at them.
This is as good as we look at.
Yeah. Many of these people are in sunlight for the first time this year. Let's take another question. Thanks, man in the white hat.
My name is Marshall Force. So Eric, you've been calling me out this whole time. And
have I? Well, let's talk about this.
Don't poke him, man. Don't get Eric mad.
Anyways, why did you have them clicking refresh? Because that's the one thing you should.
If I remember right, that was Maria's pitch. Comic-Con thing actually did come from our experiences of buying tickets at Comic-Con for many, many years. Comic-Con did change the system this year a little bit, where they also don't tell you what number you are in line. I'm not saying they did that to screw us, but we're on to you, Comic-Con.
We wanted to see if there would be someone who would spot it. Be inducted into the secret order of Big Bang Gaff Squad heroes.
And believe it or not, the real thing of buying tickets when you just stare at the screen and don't say anything, not as interesting on TV as you might imagine. They're earning some money, they should say words.
May I interrupt just for a second? I have a question of my own. This season, Penny was cast with Will Wheaton in the low-budget movie Serial Amos.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there any chance we'll ever get to see the whole movie? Is that something?
I mean, we're kind of busy writing the TV show, so probably not.
I think people would enjoy it.
Well, we might have a movie trailer. It's going to happen, which it's not. But we might have a trailer that we can show you right now.
Who are you under there? Well, welcome, Will Wheaton, of course, the man behind Serial Rapist. Well, is there any chance if there was a Serial Rapist movie, would you do it? I think it would work.
Yes. Yes, I've actually pitched a lot of story ideas to Steve.
How close are you to actually making that happen? Because I'm in. I want to be part of this.
You know, we're not, but every time we talk about it, we get really excited. The idea that this really hot girl is turning into a gorilla is kind of great.
We have the mask.
When we worked on the episodes where that show is talked about, every time, I fake orangutan here. Every time we talked about it, we got more and more excited about how we wanted it to be a real movie.
I think it should be a Kickstarter campaign. A Kickstarter campaign, and you can all pay for it, and then go see it. I think it'd be great.
Fun, and Kaylee loved having that hair glued to her.
That's not the way I remember it.
The word wasn't love?
No, it was, I think if you were to take the concept of love and then fill up all the space in the known multiverse, you would get Kaylee's emotion at the other end.
Well, you play yourself, of course, on the show. How close is that to who you are? Are you really, because, you know...
I am not as evil, as far as anyone knows, as evil Will Wheaton started out. When the relationship between Will Wheaton and Sheldon sort of changed and he became more of an ally and a friend to him, that character started to shift a lot closer to who I am in my life. And
so what I'm hearing is a vague denial of evil, but not a very strong one.
Well, I think that's the most appropriate way to deny it.
But we did accurately build your house on the stage.
You did. Yeah, this is really funny. So Bill had come to my house for a housewarming party, and when Sheldon came over to my house for the party, I walked onto the set, and everything in that set looked like my house. There's even a couch there that I wanted to buy for my house, but my wife talked me out of. And then we hung a lot of my art on the walls in there. That ridiculous Velvet Wesley Crusher painting is actually, I own that.
Hey, the guy that asked about Refresh, he's the real deal too. Let me throw the questions back to the floor. Will has now joined the panel, of course. I don't know if that affects your question choice, young lady in blue, does it?
No.
Okay.
In season 2, episode 2, Sheldon says that he was diagnosed with pernicious anemia. Now, is that a mixed diagnosis? Or does he actually have to get shots every week? Because I do.
We guessed that.
Sheldon is a hypochondriac, and I think that a lot of the things that he claimed when it gets to medical stuff, and we saw it when Leonard was dating a doctor, he does a lot of, if he says diagnosed with, that may have been by himself. So there's a lot of Munchausen with Sheldon, and you can't take him at his word when he has a medical condition. But he is not crazy according to whoever his mother took him to.
There you are, and the next question, please.
Huge fan. I'm also a teacher, and I have a lot of young adults who are also really huge fans. And so they kind of look up to these characters who are nerds and different and geeky, which is great. But I was wondering if, kind of for that younger audience, there was going to be any more flashbacks, we'd see any more childhood idols, or maybe a high school reunion.
No immediate plans, but that sounds great. Do you have a script? Because we have to write a bunch more, and we're tired.
And I'm trying to decode your shirt. I've got I, as far as I've got.
That's what the science consultant might be able to hold. It's F.
Oh, wait, David, what does your shirt say?
It's F.D, which is work.
I work out.
Hey, maybe on Nickelodeon or Nick Jr., Big Bang Babies, you could do the animated series, they could solve crimes.
This is discussed in the writers' room with the theme song sung to the Muppet Babies theme song.
Yes! It might work, yes! They're very clever. Yes, Lady in Green.
Hi, I'm Marianne Norris, and I wanted to know why you hate Aquaman so much.
Because he's not a real superhero, that's why I hate him! How dare you even mention his name in these hollow calls! That's how I hate him, I don't know why.
There's a lot, because of who we are, there's a lot of, you heard about Eric's diatribe against Star Wars and why it's responsible for the ills of man. But Steve hates the Green Lantern.
If it makes you feel any better, I also don't like Green Lantern. So it's not just Aquaman.
I'm not a writer on the show, but I actually really like Aquaman.
Oh!
Eric, that's how you play to the crowd.
I get to I do the voice of Aqualad on Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. I think it makes sense that for a planet that is primarily covered with water, you would have superheroes that exist in that environment. And I heard what you said, but I don't think anybody on this stage heard what you said. Say it again, the last part of your comment.
My grandfather is Paul L. Norris, and he is the creator of Aquaman.
Aquaman has always been my favorite. And the scripted material that they have me say when I'm up here really reflects my personal views. Although, you know, why you have a superhero that could be avoided by a villain who could just like step onto a rock kind of defeats me. It's going so well. Wasn't it going well?
Yes, hi, my name is Ken. I was wondering, why did you guys burn down a comic book store, and are we getting it back?
There will be a comic book store in the future. We're figuring out exactly how that's going to work out, but the show will not go on without a comic book store, I promise you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Big Bang Theory, 2.5 Men crossover. When? How many guys on Simpsons are doing it?
So season 22 then.
Yeah.
Hi. I just want to say first, thanks for making physics understandable to people. My dad finally understands what I studied in school.
Is it physics?
Yeah. And then moving on, we saw the characters really mature in their relationships and as adults. Do we see them maybe moving on forward and hearing the pitter-patter of little feet to to pass the Nerd Kingdom on to in the future?
Some of our cast is already very little.
There's no plans for babies at any point.
I don't know, Big Bang Babies, the cartoon series is coming next fall.
But no
Parasites.
Yeah.
Hi, as watching the show, I'm a big fan where my whole family watches it together. These characters are probably the most real I've ever seen. We talk about them all the time. And as Star Wars fans, I wanted to ask, do you think Star Wars is more of science fiction or science fantasy? I'm going off of what Eric thinks.
Eric has strong feelings about it.
It's sort of childish wish fulfillment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like replace science with magic, you get the same thing.
Exactly. Everybody listen to her, don't pick on me.
Sometimes, Eric, I feel you leave the rest of us behind. Yes, sir.
Hi. I think it's been really interesting how the female characters have changed over the course of the show. I was wondering if the writers could comment about that.
We agree.
Do you know, from the beginning, the show has been written without a plan. So when you sit down to write an episode, you say, presented with what happens in this episode, what would the characters do? And that begins to define them. And there's no roadmap set out. It's the circumstance. You find out more about the characters. So.
And when you look at the growth of the guys on the show, I think you can point to the ladies for a big reason behind it.
But I think but also I think characters, in order to care about them, and Will was talking about how his character at first was kind of broad, and then that doesn't sustain after a while. You have to find out who the character is, otherwise it's uncomfortable to watch. And so I think that's the natural evolution of all characters. Hopefully, if things are working well, is they become realer and you know more about them. And I have no end to that sense.
Yes, young sir.
When will
Leonard and Penny get married and what crazy events will happen at their wedding?
I don't. They are engaged, but the wedding is sometime off in the future, and they're not in a rush. Penny's first goal is to put the date far enough in the future so everyone knows for a fact that she's not pregnant, and then we'll go from there.
I think it's the season 22 crossover with 2.5. It'll be a while. Thank you. Yes, and the next one, the lady in the green cardigan.
I was wondering, even if it's like 20 seasons from now, have you guys thought about how you might end the show?
I have thoughts, but I'm not going to say them right now.
Yeah, that was a bit of a downer.
In my head, I say the Big Bang Theory universe exists in the same snow globe as St. Elsewhere.
You're welcome over 50s.
Nice, yeah.
Yes, sir. And the attractive shirt.
Thank you very much. A couple seasons ago, there was an episode in which we see glimpses of Mrs. Wallowitz, which is contrary to the joke in which she's always seen but never heard. Oh, I'm sorry, always heard but never seen. What was the reaction of viewers to that?
You were a viewer, what was your reaction?
It really seems more in your bailiwick, but
I think there's positive.
Not so easy when you're asked a question, is it? Go on, skulk off into the darkness with your bright shirt on.
you can also see her in the wedding on the roof.
Yeah.
So.
As the Google satellite camera pulls back really fast, and at the end of season 5 of the wedding, you can see a big pink blob. That is Mrs. Wallowitz.
It's like a Bigfoot sighting.
Yes.
I've been a big fan of Big Bang Theory since it started, and my favorite character is Penny. And will you ever reveal her last name?
At this point, we've come so far, it's a bit of a superstition for us, so it's wait till we have to wrestle if and when they do get married, how we get around that part, so.
Would it be satisfying if we promised that at some point we'll reveal her last name?
And I think this is probably our last question, so make it good.
Hey, my name's Jack Buckley from San Diego.
Hey, Jack. Looking good. What is that, Jack, may I ask?
What?
What are you wearing?
It's a costume based off a character I made.
Well, it's excellent, Jack. It's excellent. Good for you.
My question is, now that you've burned down the store, Stuart doesn't have a place to go, and you kind of just threw that under the rug to deal with Sheldon. I want to know what kind of story progression will happen with him. Will he run the new store that you were talking about, or will he move in with one of the guys? What are you going to do with him?
Stuart does make a move, which started at the end of the season, living with Mrs. Wallowitz. And when we come back, he's still there. And as far as the future of the store, we're working on that, but there will be a store in the future.
All right, let's squeeze in one more, and also have another question. All right, yes.
Hi, my name is Ashley, and I was just wondering who's in charge of picking the t-shirts the guys wear on the show?
Mary Quigley. Our costume designer, Mary Quigley. Are you a Mary Quigley fan? Is that...
Good taste, is what she said. Good taste, yeah.
I agree. He's got a lot of great shirts.
Yeah. Well, I'm afraid that's all we have time for. I'd like to thank the writers and science consultant, of course, Will Wheaton.